Hi, welcome to my review of Karen Regardless from 1961, directed by Gerald and of course, the fifth Carry On film in this series. So yes, we are back once again, ready to discuss Carry On. This time around, Karen Regardless, quite an interesting film here, and again, one of the early Carry On films to discuss today. So first of all, there will be a spoiler warning for this discussion if you haven't seen this film. I simply recommend seeing it first and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this film in the comments and all things Carry On. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film. Quite a fascinating one here, and very interesting because we have kind of a film that is a culmination and an advancement of the previous four films, perhaps excluding Teacher. That was quite unique and it was its own thing and didn't really feel like in a sense Sergeant, Nurse and Constable. But the general those films in particular Regardless feels like a kind of an advancement and kind of formation of the team as well that were in the previous films. A lot of the main members here, Kenneth, Sid James, Joan Sims, Kenneth Williams, Charles Hawtrey, it's kind of really forming here, and also it is its own thing, and I think it's quite interesting because it is, it's quite unique. It's not really like any of the other carry-ons because it is more of a sketch-based, format to this one due to the nature of the plot and just the way the film flows. It's definitely more, a sketch-based kind of film, and it's quite fascinating for that. But it is, I think, in many ways, for me, a step up personally to the previous four, and it's definitely feels a bit more of like a carry-on film to say, Constable, the previous film, and it's definitely, things are coming together a bit here, and it wouldn't be until, for me, Spying, where, it's the true carry-on feel going forward. But it has more moments, I feel, that are kind of carry-on-esque, even though Talbot Rothwell did not, come into right yet, I think that was one of the game changers, really, for me. I think it still does have, that kind of feel. It's a bit more bold in places, and, it's definitely, it has more of that carry-on charm to say Constable. It's really cool to see again because there's definitely a variety of kind of sequences in this one due to the nature of this being, obviously, as we know, Helping Hands, this kind of company. We have Bert Handy, played by Sid James, and he's really good in this film, and so funny. And of course, he kind of runs this company, and we have basically they're trying to help the clients with their tasks, and the tasks are quite strange and kind of out there, I guess, and our team, are not really too experienced in a lot of the tasks that are going on, and things that they've got to be asked to do. So it kind of all unfolds from there. Chaos issues arise throughout the film, and a lot of out there kind of sequences, including this kind of kind of tribute really to different spy thrillers and Hitchcock in particular. The 39 Steps, clearly, and Kenneth Connor. On the train and around the train there, it was funny at first, and it is, quite bizarre, but that was definitely one that I guess, kind of went on a bit too long, and it wasn't, that funny. It wasn't really interacting with anyone, but it's certainly out there, and you've got quite a few moments like that, in the second half. But overall, I really do like the way that they kind of have this variety to the sequences. We've got, kind of in between the different acts and the sequences, it's a kind of very much all over the place in terms of the what they're doing, because obviously they're kind of performing a variety of different tasks for the clients, and it's really just quite bizarre in that sense, and I do really like that though, because it's not kind of repetitive really, and I think for the most part it does have a nice flow to it, and I find just the cast as well, once again, Sid James especially, and I think Kenneth Connor in this film is so funny. Kenneth Williams, this is a one where he definitely who's given more of a Kenneth Williams carry-on role. I guess a bit different to the previous four. Still not quite the true Kenneth Williams, the iconic Kenneth Williams carry-on kind of stuff. But I think it's definitely, as I say, cool to see this because it does gradually become more of a carry-on series at this point. I find, and definitely another step up again. With Karen Spying, as I've said, so it's really fascinating, and by that point, the carry-on kind of feel, truly emerged, and it wouldn't, go away really until, England for me, and the last few, obviously, I'm not a fan of. I've said that before, but I think this one is really cool to see, and I think it's just very well shot. I think the script is very, very good at times. I enjoy the other cast members as well. Liz Fraser in this film, her first of 4 appearances, in the Carry On films, and Fenella Fielding as well, who was really good to see in this one. Obviously, the iconic, Carry On screaming role that she had, in the series, and it's cool to see her, in this one, a very different role, but it's kind of some similarities as well, which is really cool. And I just loved that sequence. Actually, it was really, really funny. With the babysitting thing there with Kenneth Connor, and that was really funny. And just I think the first half in particular, it is really funny, and I think the second half it just runs out of steam. It doesn't go into places where it's not like or anything like that, or kind of. There are serious issues of the film, but I think it just doesn't quite compare to the first half until the final act, which was really funny again, because I think just simply it runs out of steam a bit, and a couple of the sequences that happen to be in the second half of the film, the kind of Hitchcock, sequence, I think that was not as funny as it could have been, and it was a bit drawn out for me. So that's really the things. It doesn't kind of go to great heights, I find, overall this film, but it does have some really funny moments as well. Stanley Unwin, in this film, playing this the kind of the speech guy who happens to be, as we know, at one point we find out he was the landlord, of this the premises, and I think just the way in which throughout the whole film we don't understand anything he's saying really. There's kind of bits and pieces of words that we can kind of see potentially where it's going, but then the rest of it is all gobbledygook, and of course it's just so funny. In fact, this is the kind of the character and the actual recurring gag that I laughed at the most in the film. It was absolutely hilarious, and I just loved the way in which Sid James is kind of so confused, and then everyone else in the kind of the room as well, whenever he comes in is really confused, and I just think it's so funny the way it kind of he keeps showing up, and just in the end the fact that he was the landlord of this building here, and then he does kind of task them with doing up this house, and then at the end, obviously the way it ends is he says that it should be demolished because he's going to be building a luxury block of flats. So that's the kind of way in which the film ends. A lot of the team in that final sequence, the slapstick there, and this big chaotic sequence where the house is falling apart, and in the end, they go on to demolish it anyway. So it's a really cool ending, I find, and I just love the way in which, as well, they say carry on, and then the final bit, it's them going regardless. It's just so bizarre there, and I love when films kind of say their titles, and this was one of my favourites for sure, where they actually really amp it up there with regardless. It's just so bizarre, and that was the final line of the film, and all the characters just seeing them there, and it is a very nice film. It's a warm film. I enjoy this one. It's a comfort watch. A couple of sequences, as I said, that I don't really like too much. They're going a bit too far, a bit too long, and they're not the funniest in the second half, but it kind of comes together nicely in the end. It doesn't really reach for anything, as I say, too great. It's not as ambitious as some of the later Carry On films, but it's a one that I find, even though it's kind of different to all of them, it's very unique and it's more sketch-based. I think it's definitely something that advances the previous four, I guess, and with the cast as well, it was quite, a defining Carry On film where, this was really coming together a bit more, and, I think it's not necessarily my favourite of the first five, but I do find it's an improvement in some ways over the previous ones, and it's really cool to see this, and then go to cruising as well, and it's gradually the Carry On films are kind of really coming together. So overall, I do enjoy this film at times quite a bit. I think it's definitely in that first half, the ending, I do enjoy this one quite a bit, and I think the second half overall it does run out of steam at times, and it's kind of some of the sequences are not the best, but I think due to the nature of this being more sketch based, even though we've got some lulls, we've got some moments where there are some ups again, and I think it's kind of up and down, taking what you can with this one due to the nature of being more sketch based, and there's quite a variety of gags in this, and also kind of a sense of the recurring gags that are very effective, especially with, of course, the landlord there, and Stanley Unwin. He's just brilliant in this film, and definitely for me the highlights really it's definitely him, and just so funny, and it's just every single line that he said I was laughing at, and even though the characters are really going off doing their own thing, performing these tasks, it does have that kind of loose narrative that kind of holds it together, and it starts off a bit more controlled in that sense, and kind of start setting up the plot, the characters, and the drive of the film, and kind of runs with it after that, and it kind of goes off, and it comes together in the end. So naturally, I think there's definitely pros and cons with the actual concept and the way it's kind of structured this film, but for the most part I enjoy the fact that it is quite different to the previous four, in that sense, and I think it definitely has improvements over those films, and definitely some things in the Carry On-esque feel that are coming together a bit more, as I've said, and I think Sid James is playing a bit more of his character, his Carry On character that he was playing, later films, and Kenneth Connor as well is just kind of really giving his all here, and he is so funny at times, in this film. A lot of the cast here, is just really enjoyable, and I really enjoy as well, Fenella Fielding showing up here, and as well, Liz Fraser is really good in this film as well. So I do enjoy this one for the cast again, and they do elevate the material. But I think this one is really quite enjoyable at times, and it's quite a warm film, a charming film. Once again, it is quite gentle, but not anywhere near as much as the previous film, Karen Constable, where it kind of has a bit more sort of detriment, of the fact that it's very, very gentle and a bit too much and became a bit flat for me, that one, and it didn't really have much of an energy to that one. This one is definitely more energetic, it has more of a drive, even though there are some flaws throughout with that, in that sense. I think it's definitely a solid, enjoyable film. It's okay, this one, and once again, I do find especially the first half to be, quite solid. Overall, my rating for this film is a 63%. So, quite, a solid score from me. I do enjoy this one quite a bit at times, and I think the ending as well was quite hilarious, and it's just a nice watch. It's not anything too major. This one, it's not one of my favourite Carry On films overall. Again, it has some flaws. It's some moments where it is too flat, really, and it doesn't really kind of really go for it. And there's certain sequences here and there, the second half, which aren't the funniest really at all, and they are a bit drawn out. But overall, this is an enjoyable film. It's the one that I do take quite a lot from, and I think the cast members are very good in this, and especially Kenneth Connor and Sid James, and Stanley Unwin as well. His appearance is just. This is priceless, and it really makes the film, and it is quite a bizarre film, and I like that aspect of it, and just with the characters, it's one of the kind of feelings of that, and the nature of the plot as well. It's just the way it's done. It's so funny at times, and especially that first half, as I say. And so that's my thoughts on this film. What do you think? It'd be great to hear. How would you personally compare this to different Carry On films, and what was your experience when watching this film personally? And it'd be great to discuss this film. And next up will be the final Carry On film to discuss on the channel, and so it's quite sad. The true Carry On films, and that will be Carry On Behind. But I've been enjoying doing this, of course. Loved talking about the Carry On films, and one left, but it doesn't end there, of course, as I've said recently. After the ranking, which will come, in the next couple of weeks, there'll be the Carry On specials to talk about. The Christmas specials, be reviewing them and ranking them as well, and also the series, and just loads of different Carry On stuff as well, and also in the future, different Carry On lists. So kind of Carry On characters, top tens, and all this. I'll try to do as well. I want to start doing this. And stuff like as well in the future, Police Academy characters. That's something I've been thinking about doing because I've ranked those series, and it's kind of been left, and I do love talking about these comedy franchises series. So I think different lists and related content to the Carry On films and the Carry On series in that sense as well will be great to do, and I do plan definitely on doing this, so it doesn't end there, and that's something going forward on the channel that I'll be doing, not just kind of going through a series, reviewing the films, and then doing the ranking, which is obviously great to do, but also spin-off lists in that sense, different content related to these franchises that I do love. So that would be cool to do. And for now, we'll talk about the Carry On films. So next up, the final one to discuss, Carry On Behind from 75, and after that will come the ranking of the Carry On films. As I say, it would be great to hear your thoughts in the comments, and talk about this film and what you feel personally about this one, and how it compares to different Carry On films as well. So yes, it'd be a pleasure as always to discuss this film and all things Carry On in the comments. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.